should I just talk? Okay, so right now I am working as a therapist. I work for Queens Hospital, but I actually work out in Waukegan. It's like a kind of an interesting program that Queens Hospital partnered with the DOE and Tripler to provide clinical therapy services out in the school setting. Yeah, so I have my master's in social work, which I graduated in 2015, and I have my LSW, which is licensed social worker, and I'm about, hopefully, to get my LCSW.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're going to talk about just what a social work does generally. And also just to give like the inside talk of the hard parts of what you do and also the good parts. Do any group exercises or do you do one-on-one therapy?
I mostly right now in this current job am doing one individual therapy, but I definitely do groups also. Right now, the only group of kids I have a group with is my little guys in elementary school, and that's always chaos. But yeah, I do like group therapy. I think it's really effective. At Kahimahala, I led groups pretty much every day. But I did a lot of like teaching DBT, which is like it has 5 different modules, which are interpersonal effectiveness, emotion regulation, mindfulness, middle path, and distress tolerance. And so like the DBT curriculum is geared towards borderline clients, but I feel like it's, especially for teenagers, like really applicable. So we just kind of work on skill building and those kinds of groups.
Okay. Like what is a DBT example?
So DBT basically is just like, well, my interpretation of it is being able to see things in different ways. An example, like a mindfulness group, would be like talking about the 5 senses and how using mindfulness techniques can help kids in their daily life, or if it's like learning more coping skills. I try to make it fun, like on a day where we're doing coping skills for like emotion regulation or distress tolerance, I will do like emotional charades. So kids kind of like interact with each other, and we talk about like how it's appropriate to show the same emotion on your face as it is, when you're saying, like, you don't say something sad and look super happy.
Yeah.
That's like,
Okay. Yeah, so I was looking into the epidemics of kind of adolescent mental health problems. What is the most prominent one that you see?
One thing that's really, so working with kids is also working with their families. And that's kind of off topic, but social media is like, it's, when I was growing up, we didn't have as much social media as the kids do now, but having these kids come in and having like, if like 75% of their problem be social media related, whether it's like cyberbullying or not getting enough attention, or like people like causing drama through this, like, I don't know, and it's kind of hard because some of it I can't really relate to. But yeah, that's definitely, I don't think that social media has been 100% positive influence on these kids. They really struggle with, like, number 1, having to keep up an image of themselves, and then number 2, like how people see them, how people treat them on the internet. That's a really big question mark that I feel like is, and also therapists and parents really can't relate to the kid because parents didn't go through this, and so it's kind of like creating this divide where parents can't understand their kids, which is easy.
I didn't have a phone, like a flip phone, so I was like 13.
I didn't have a phone till 9th grade, and they didn't even like come out with cell phone. There was no smartphone at all when I was a kid.
Cyberbullying, how it all relates. Do you have any discouragements from people who want to go into social work? Like, maybe social work isn't for everyone, or if people have misconceptions about it. Do you have anything that you want to tell people before they decide to jump into it?
I think, yeah, you definitely have to be someone, I mean, social work has so many different places you can go into. So like, even if you know, go into it and you end up not liking it, there's a different venue, especially if you have a master's level. I guess not necessarily discouraging people, but like kind of knowing what you're getting into, and that you have to really do like as much mental health care for yourself as you do for your clients, because and there's going to be situations where you don't really know what to do, and kind of like respecting that, and like using your colleagues and supervisors. Yeah, I guess it's just, if you're able to like, if your desire to help people overcomes your like disappointment at like how people can behave or how people can treat other people, then yes, it's an awesome field. I really think that like going into social work, like I go and like about my daily life, and I have like interactions with people, and I feel like I see so much more than I did before I started my master's, and I can't believe that I didn't see the world that way. I feel like if you're a social worker, you kind of see the world as like a big, like you see everything. You're able to see a big scope of things, whereas before I pursued my master's, I was kind of just seeing like tunnel vision, like what was right in front of me, what my life was about. But like with social work background, you learn all the social issues. I work particularly in mental health, but like also just like learning about like different types of people and diversity, and I think it's a better way to live life, honestly. Yeah.
Like religion and culture.
Yeah.
We've been talking about privilege and how
Yeah.
that's a big thing, and how people don't realize they have privilege.
I'm totally that person. I, you know, grew up very sheltered. Had no idea the thing. Like if I in high school could tell myself the stuff I'm dealing with now with these kids, I led a very different life. Had my own struggles, but yeah, just kind of seeing like being able to see other people's lives and stories and struggles is always interesting. And a good thing about social work is your job is usually not the same day to day. It's not boring. There's very much excitement. It's not an office job. You're constantly challenging your brain. If you don't want to constantly challenge your brain, I wouldn't
it's not repetitive
recommend it.
work.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not repetitive.
Especially in social work, there's confusion between psychology, social work, therapeutic services, and then there comes in with mental health medicine. Can you explain a little bit of that?
Yeah, there's definitely like a huge confusion. I myself was very confused because I actually got my bachelor's in a totally different subject, and then I wanted to be a therapist. Like that's what I wanted to be. I was like, I want to be a therapist, and I didn't know how to do that, and I was like, do I have to go to med school? Like, and what I found, I wish that someone had told me when I was applying. Well, someone did tell me, like, just go into social work instead, because I was thinking of like going to med school or going to school for psychology, which is like 5 years and very, very long. And someone just told me, like, why don't you go into social work? And I was initially kind of like, no, that's not the same thing. But it really, after practicing in the field, it really is. Right now, in the field, it's kind of moving more towards like psychiatrists, people who go to medical school to become psychiatrists. They're more prescribing medication only now. It's rare that you'll find a psychiatrist that also does psychotherapy. And they're kind of like in the same way where like nurses nurses can basically do anything, and then like the physician is like the final stamp of approval. It's kind of like that, where like psychiatrists are doctors, and so they only do the bit that is necessary, which is the medication management. And then the social workers end up doing actually a lot of the patient care, like the service, like the therapy services. So I really see like social workers, like licensed clinical social workers, marriage, family therapists. They're the kind of people who are actually doing the one-on-one like talk therapy stuff, which is exactly what I wanted to do, and I'm happy that I didn't. Psychologists, the only thing that I've been told or I've seen that they can do that social workers can't do is do psychological.
Missy and I have been friends for 3 years. It's been awesome to work with her, and also she has been like a mentor to me. She has been a huge help in just my mental health, and we were able to actually be more friends than we were like acquaintances, and we've been able to hang out before, and so it was really awesome to be able to kind of interview her and talk to her in a more professional setting. The most I took away from talking to Missy is the amount of things that I can do with social work. I always knew that social work was very broad and that you can use your degree in many ways. But what I liked is that she said that even just from a day-to-day basis, your job is different. You could be working with a client, or you could be running a group, or you can be in a hospital, or you could be meeting other social workers and or working legislation, being more of an advocate. And so those are all things that I want to do. I've never been someone who wanted to sit at a desk. I, after talking to Missy, I actually am more convinced that I wanted to social work. And I think the point that made me want to do it the most was that she doesn't seem to have the typical stereotypical what everyone would think a social worker would say, that it's so hard and that it's emotionally toiling. I mean, I'm sure it is, but it just makes me want to pursue it more. And so we'll see. I'm really excited to pursue this.